What if I told you that a simple backed-up sink could unlock a story? A story that leads us straight to a president calling a place one of the most unruly towns in America. It's a wild tale that starts with a gurgle in a pipe and ends deep in the history books, buried right under our feet.
So here's the big question we're going to tackle. What on earth could possibly connect a clogged drain in a Chicago suburb to President Teddy Roosevelt? I know, it sounds totally random, but the answer reveals this hidden history that's way more fascinating than you might think.
Okay, so let's start with what's happening right now. Our story kicks off in Highwood, Illinois, with a modern-day crisis that's, well, it's probably a little too familiar for a lot of homeowners. A town literally underwater.
It almost always starts this way, doesn't it? You know the sound, that little gurgle from the kitchen sink, the water taking just a beat too long to disappear. It's that minor annoyance you think, I'll get to it later. But see, in Highwood, this isn't just one person's problem. After a season of just record-breaking rain, it's become a massive, community-wide headache. What's happening in one house is happening in houses all across town.
And this quote from a local plumber really paints the picture. He says the pattern is crystal clear. The moment those storm clouds roll in and the rain starts to fall, the town's entire infrastructure gets put to the test, and the emergency calls just start flooding in.
And we're talking about some serious consequences here. It's everything from your basic clogged drains to catastrophic sump pump failures and sewer lines backing up right into people's homes. This isn't just an inconvenience. We're talking about a huge risk of expensive, really heartbreaking property damage for families. So, why is this happening? What's going on? Well, to get to the real root of the problem, we have to do more than just snake a drain. We actually need to dig into the town's history. All right, let's wind the clock back. To really understand the pipes, we need to understand how Highwood itself was even born, and how it went from being this wide-open prairie to a bustling garrison town. What's pretty amazing here is just how fast everything changed. In a little over 50 years, this land went from being home to the Potawatomi to housing a railroad headquarters and, this is the crucial part, a U.S. military installation, Fort Sheridan. It was actually built to keep an eye on Chicago after some civil unrest, and its arrival, well, it changed everything for Highwood. And that brings us to the most colorful, most chaotic chapter in Highwood's history. This is where the town earned a reputation that would stick for over a century.
So, you've got this massive army base right next door. Highwood's economy just exploded. It became the go-to spot for off-duty soldiers looking for a good time, and a magnet for immigrants looking for work. And this mix? It created this volatile, energetic, and completely unruly environment.
I mean, the town basically became the Wild West of Chicago's North Shore. You had illegal taverns, they called them blind pigs, popping up everywhere. Gambling was totally rampant. And then during Prohibition, forget about it. It became a safe haven for bootleggers. Highwood was the place you went for all the things you couldn't get anywhere else. And the town's reputation for being rowdy went all the way to the top. Because of all the bars and its wild character, none other than President Theodore Roosevelt himself reportedly called Highwood one of the toughest towns in America. Just let that sink in. The President of the United States.
So here's where it all comes together. Highwood has always been a town defined by its struggle to manage unruly flows. Back then, it was people, and now it's water. It really brings our story full circle.
This slide says it all, really. Back in the day, the unruly flow was soldiers, illegal taverns, and bootlegged liquor. Today, it's record rainfall, sewer backups, and household grease and debris. The challenges look different on the surface, but the town's fundamental story of trying to manage a powerful, chaotic force, it's exactly the same. Okay, so now that we've got the deep history, let's get back to the present day and see how residents are dealing with today's version of those unruly flows.
So for homeowners, it's all about prevention. Being proactive is key, and simple stuff can make a huge difference, like being really careful not to pour grease down the drain, keeping your vents clear, and just keeping an eye on your sump pump and how your yard is draining. These are the modern defenses against the chaos of a backup.
And when prevention isn't quite enough, there is some pretty impressive technology out there. Professionals are using everything from mechanical power rodding to high-pressure hydrojetting. They even have these tiny cameras that can go right inside the pipes to find the exact source of a clog. It's a high-tech battle against a really, really old problem.
So the next time you hear that little gurgle in your drain, remember Highwood. It's such a powerful reminder that history isn't just in monuments or in books, it's right there in the pipes beneath our feet and in the everyday problems we all face. It kind of makes you wonder, what story is your own town's infrastructure just waiting to tell?